Hello, you 11,000 incredible human beings. Some of you guys may know this, some of you guys may not, but I'm actually a professional bodybuilder by trade. That's how I started on this whole long journey that I've been on making men absolutely incredible. And I competed with a lot of the guys who are the best in the world. So I was like Australia's first professional bodybuilder in my division. I was the youngest ever to do it as well, like pretty much worldwide. I think there's one guy that was younger than me. I turned pro when I was 20. And I had some really cool opportunities to be around some really cool people. I competed with guys all the way through the amateur ranks from when I was 18 all the way up to competing with like literally some of the best guys in the world, and I was probably ranked around top 10 at the time, right? If I kept on going down the bodybuilding path, I would have been top 10, and I was actually pushing to get to number 1 before I pulled out and started doing some other stuff instead. One thing I noticed is there's a really big difference between the ways that professionals acted and the ways that amateurs acted. And I want to cover this for you guys because, well, this is going to be really helpful for you if you feel like you can give more. Like you have like this internal potential, but you've never been able to actually realize it, and you feel like you're constantly in third gear instead of in cruise control and just like motoring down the freeway. If you ever feel like you've been held back, like there's an invisible force which is kind of like holding you back from your fullest potential, if you get stressed, if you get anxious, and that holds you back, or if you feel like you can't focus as well as what you would like to, this will be really helpful for you. So the big difference that I noticed, well, when I was in the amateur leagues, I competed against a whole heap of guys who were really cool. And there's a lot of dudes who are just awesome human beings. But when it came to the crunch time, they just didn't quite have it, right? And in the amateurs, I could always win quite well. I was competing against a lot of guys who are 10, 15, 20 years older than me, a lot of those guys who were taking steroids, and I'd still be able to win, right? On a national and an international level amongst the amateurs. And there was a really common theme that I saw with a lot of guys. The guys who are amateurs, they're either on or they're off. It was either the most perfect preparation for this bodybuilding show, or it was the worst ever and everything went wrong and they couldn't handle it. And there's a really cool thing is that every single time an amateur didn't come in the way they wanted, they didn't have the best and the most productive prep, they would blame something. There would be a reason for it, and there would be like an excuse and out. Then when I went into the professional leagues, that never happened. No one was ever off. Like the worst guy in the professional league shat all over the best guy in the amateurs. It was just a totally different mindset because they were fucking savages, right? We're all savages in the way that we thought, the way that we did things. And it reminded me of this saying that I got taught just recently, which is this: it may not be your fault, but it sure as fuck is your problem. And that rang really true for me in the professional leagues, because when I was going through the pro leagues, I got hit with bipolar, anxiety, depression, IBS, all this sort of stuff. And some of that stuff, it may not be my fault that my body decided to give up and decided to shit itself, but it sure as fuck was my problem. And so it was on me to go and fix it. Now, the difference between a pro and an amateur is that an amateur would say, oh no, I've got all this stuff going on and I can't handle it. I'm going to pull out. I'm not going to do it. Whereas the professional says, oh, well, I've got this stuff going on. Cool. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix it? And that is the difference between a professional and an amateur. And now we can extrapolate this from bodybuilding, and we can put this into every single part of our lives. And we look at things and we say, am I a pro or am I an amateur? Now, most of you guys are going to be in this group because you're business owners, because you're successful within your careers, you've experienced a fair amount of stress or anxiety, burnout, brain function, fatigue, all that sort of stuff. And you want to be able to be better men. You want to be able to make more money. You want to be able to have better relationships with your partners, with your kids. You want to be able to do all this sort of stuff. And so this is what I'm going to ask you is, like, are you a professional or an amateur? And I want you to ask yourself this every single day and every single thing that you do. Whenever you feel burnt out, whenever you feel anxious, whenever you feel stressed, cool. It may not be your fault. And the thing with business is that business is always going to be stressful. Work is always going to be stressful if you want to be successful, because there are lots of external pressures. That may not be your fault, but it's your fucking problem. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit there and you're going to mope like most people do, like most amateurs? Is that how you're going to be? You're going to take the amateur option? Or are you going to find a way to go and fix it? Are you going to find a strategy which is going to make you be better so that you can come out on top and so that you can win? Because in the end of the day, guys, there are two camps that you can be in. You can either be a professional, you can be an amateur. The professional will go and solve every single problem that's thrown his way. He's burnt out, cool, he'll figure out how to fix it. He'll learn, he'll go and hire the best. That was one of the things that I did as well, was the reason why I could crush the amateurs so well. Literally, these guys were all taking steroids, and I was like in my early 20s or even in my teens, and I was beating them even when they were like 10 years older than me. They've been training for so much longer than me, right? They had every right to beat me. But what did I do? I went and I hacked the system. I went and got the best coach, right? One of the best bodybuilding coaches in the world. And he taught me everything. I mean, instantly put me straight up to the top, right? I would not have achieved what I achieved without my coach, right? No way in hell. That's the thing. The professional goes out and he finds the best way to solve his problems, the smartest way to solve his problems. LeBron James spends $1 million a year, the best basketball player in the world, second basketball billionaire, right? The only person to be an active basketball player and become a billionaire, right? Tiger Woods trains relentlessly with his coaches all the time. His dad used to abuse the fuck out of him to get him on game day because he had the best coach in the world. Serena Williams and Venus Williams, their father, was absolutely crucial in their success. And so if we look at it, we've got, okay, we've all got problems. We've got pressure. We've got shit going wrong. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be a pro? Are you going to go fix it? You're going to go hire the best? You're going to go out and pay money to learn and shortcut the way to success? Or are you going to be an amateur, mope around, fuck around, complain, and end up being in exactly the same spot a year, 5 years, a decade, 20 years later, in exactly the same spot because you didn't take action right now, you didn't do anything. And so that's what I'm going to ask you. Are you a professional or an amateur? And I want you to ask yourself this day. And please, in the comments section, let me know, what are you? In terms of a man, in terms of a father, in terms of a husband, in terms of a business owner, in terms of an employee, a leader, a man, are you a professional or an amateur? And I want you to remember this. It may not be your fault, but it sure as fuck is your problem. Hope this helps you guys. Keep crushing it. I want to see loads more pros in here with me. Speak to you soon.